Hello guys, welcome back to this YouTube video. Let's continue our series on HTML tutorial. Okay, so today we are going to talk about JavaScript, how to use JavaScript with HTML. So a script is a small program which is used with HTML to make your web pages more attractive, more dynamic, and interactive. So, such as if you want to um, open up an alert, a pop-up window, when you click on a certain element on your web page, you can do that with JavaScript. So JavaScript is used if you want to make your website or your web page more interactive. So JavaScript is actually one of the most popular scripting language for websites. So there are some other scripting languages, but in this video we are specifically going to talk about JavaScript, how you can use that with HTML. Okay, so in order for you to use JavaScript with HTML, you are going to need a script tag. Okay, so if you want to use it directly inside your HTML document, you will need the script tag. So let me show you how to write the script tag. Like if we come in the body here, we will say script, and then I can close the script tag here. And inside this script tag, we are going to write our JavaScript um, code. So the HTML script tag is used to specify a client-side script. It may be an internal or external JavaScript, which will contain scripting statements. And so that's why we are placing the script here in the body. So this is the first method, which is an internal, method. So this is an internal JavaScript. We are going to write JavaScript like internally inside our HTML document. Just like with CSS, if you can recall, it was possible for us to use some internal CSS, like you use the style element in your in your HTML document and then write your CSS, but you could also use an external CSS file. So that's basically the same thing with JavaScript. You can write an internal JavaScript code here directly inside the HTML document, or you can have an external JavaScript file where you will write your your code, and that will show you how to deal with the external JavaScript in just a bit. So the script tag here, as I said, is used to specify the client-side script. So you're going to write your JavaScript code inside this particular tag. And it is also mainly used, JavaScript is mainly used to manipulate, elements like images, form validation. If you have a form and you want to submit your data, how to validate the data, and all of that. You can also use that to change the content of the element of your HTML element, dynamically. For example, you can use the uh, get element by ID method to select a particular HTML element and all of that. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. So I'm going to show you what we can do. Let's say, for example, here we will say H2 or H1, and we will say how to use JavaScript with HTML. And then we will close H1 here. And what we are going to do, I need to close the bracket. Yeah. Here we will say paragraph, and we will give it the ID here of paragraph, like this. And I'm going to close this particular paragraph. So what we want to do is that we want to write a JavaScript code that will allow us to actually display some text in our paragraph. By default, the paragraph will show nothing, but our JavaScript will allow us to actually determine the content of this particular paragraph. So in order to do that, we are going to use the getElementById method, used in JavaScript. So we will say document that get element by id, open the brackets, inside the double quotes, we are going to write the ID of the HTML element that we want to update or modify. So here, the name of the ID is paragraph. This paragraph that we wrote here. So once we have done that, we will say equals, and here we are going to specify what text we want to show, what content we want to give to the paragraph. So we'll say hello world, like this, and then semicolon. So this is basically how this is going to be. So as you can see, we are not seeing the text here is because this line of code is not complete. So we need to add that inner HTML. So this is going to make sure that we are going to specify the content of our paragraph that is having the ID paragraph. So as you can see, we are having hello world showing here. So if we change this by saying hello guys, for example, you see hello guys will appear. So that's basically how you can use JavaScript. As I was saying, you can select an HTML element and change the text, the content of that element, and all of that. So yes. So now let's talk about HTML events with JavaScript. So an event is actually something a user does, or a browser does, such as, for example, if you come and click on a button, or when you load a page, for example. So these are all examples of events. And JavaScript comes in the role if we want something to happen on these events. For example, if you click on the button, you want to show a pop-up, or when the page loads, you want to animate some elements, or you want to change the color of the background of the image and all of that. So HTML provides event handlers attributes which can work with JavaScript code and can allow us to perform some action on the event. Okay, for example, one of the events that we can have is the on-click event. For example, if I create a button, let me say input, type, for example, a button here, and I will say, maybe I will give it some text. So I will say value, and this will be click me please, like this. The next thing I would do is I'm going to use this attribute, an event handler attribute, which is on click equals, and I will say alert. So this is going to make sure that a certain pop-up will show on the screen. And I'll say hello world, like this. Yes. So now you see the button. If I click on my button, I have that pop-up showing, hello world, as the text I have specified here. So these are how you can handle events. So as I was saying, an event is, any action that the user can do on a web page, or even the browser can do, like loading the page, or the user can do like clicking on a button. So you can use these event handler attributes to deal with that. So that's what I wanted to show you just now. So we can have some other event handler attributes. For example, you can have on blur when your form input will lose focus, for example. What will happen? You can specify that. So it will be something like on blur, for example, something like that. You can specify. You can have on click, like I was saying, on submit, on load, on focus, on select. So I'm going to make, maybe in a couple of days, a series of videos on JavaScript, and we can be looking at these event names. Okay. And we can also have various events. For example, we can have, uh, like if I come down here, we can have form events. The form events, we can have a reset event, we can have the submit event, and all of that. We can have the select event, select event on the input, like the text field, the text area, you know, these are all select events that can happen on these particular um, elements. You can have the focus event, like when you focus uh, on a particular HTML element, you can use that as an event. You can have mouse event as well when you select, when you click, when you double click, and all of that. So these are all some of the events that you can have. All right. So we can also, here, for example, we are showing an alert when we click on the button. What if we want to say, okay, when we click on the button, we want to change the text, this particular text here. We want to show, some text. So we can do that as well. We are simply going to change our code here. So what we will do is I will come and cut this, paste it here, maybe remove this line of code like this. It will be better. And then I will, instead of using the alert here, I'm going to use a function. I will call this particular function, let me remove the unblur here. I will call this particular function my function, open and close the brackets. Yes, so I will need to create that function. So I will say function, my function, like this, open and close the brackets, open the curly braces. Yes, I will close it here. Yes, so I will leave it like this. So now what I'm going to do is that you will see that that text is going to appear whenever I click on the button. It seems not to work. Yeah, because here it's supposed to be in one word. All right, when I click, yeah, so now you can see the text showing here whenever I click on the button. Like if I change text here, you will see exactly that. If I change that, when I click on the button, it shows here. Yeah, so I can say click me to display the text. Okay, like when I come and click, the text shows here. Yes. So we can also use JavaScript. So this first example was to use JavaScript to change the HTML content. We can use JavaScript as well to change, the HTML style of a particular element. Like for example, here we have our our button and all of that, we can say, okay, we will have a function here. Instead of changing the content, we will say we want to change, the style. So we say still document that get element inside the brackets. We will have the name of the ID, and we will say style that font size equals, and then we will specify 25 or 30 pixels like this. So this we will do. Oh, here I need to say button like this. No, input, please. What I'm going to do here, I will come and put the button down here. Yes, and in the ID here, I will say this text can change its style like this. Okay, so the text will appear like this. And what I'm going to do, so that means that if I click on the button, it will change the size of my text, of my paragraph here, because of what we have specified here. And we are using this function in this particular button. So my function is the name of the function we gave here. And so that's basically it. We can play with other, style properties. For example, here, if we want to change the background color, we can say background color is blue, for example. So when I click on the back button, you see background color blue. Right, so we can add that we want to change maybe the color. So we will say color here, and the color we want to say white, for example. This will show, when we click on the button, it will show the text with the appropriate style that we have defined in our JavaScript code. Okay, so JavaScript can be used to change so many things. You can use that, as you can see, to change the style and all of that. So this one was the internal JavaScript. We have our script inside the HTML document and all of that. So now let's talk about the external JavaScript. How to use the external JavaScript. So let's suppose you have various HTML documents or HTML files which should have the same JavaScript or the same script. Then we can put our JavaScript code in a separate file and all call that particular JavaScript code in our HTML file. So we have to save the JavaScript external file using the .js extension because that's the norm. So what I need to do first here, I'm gonna remove all this line of code here, this as well. Or let me say, like, I'm gonna cut this. All right. So if you want to add your JavaScript, you link your JavaScript file with the HTML document, you need to add the script tag in the external file, okay? and you have to provide the complete path where you have put your JavaScript file. And you come in the head here, just where you also added the link for the CSS, you add a script tag like this. You say type text / JavaScript, and then src. Here you are going to specify your JavaScript file. So you can call that script.js, for example. So if it is a file that was saved in the same folder, then with the HTML document, you can write it like this. If not, you have to put the exact path to this script.js file. So that's basically how you can do that if you are using a common, a professional um, editor. All right. So as for me, I am using this online editor, so I basically don't need to put this particular link because I already have my environment set up. It's always linked up between the HTML part and the JavaScript part. So I'm using CodePen. But if you are using, an editor like Visual Studio Code and you have your files on your machine, this is how you have to link your JavaScript file with your HTML. You have to specify this script tag here with the type text and src, the source or the path, where your JavaScript code can be found. All right. So as for this particular example, what we're going to do is that we are going to have I'm going to create a form. Let me remove this as well. So we'll say form like this. Close the form here, and inside the form, I'm going to say label, and here I'll say name like this. Close label, break line, and input type text. I'll say name, and here I'll say username. So that's it. And I'm gonna need an ID here. So ID, I'll call it form_1. Okay, and then I'll break line like this. Once I have done that, I'm basically going to simply copy that and modify because I want to show some other fields as well. So here it will be email. Yes. So the type will be type email. The name will be email as well. And as for this one, I may not need the ID here for the moment. And then the last one, say break line like this, say input type submit. All right. So here I have, oh yeah, so I need to close here so that everything will look correct. Yes. I need to close the input as well here. Okay. So what I want to say, we are going to create JavaScript in our external JavaScript. So in here, we need a function. So as I said, here we are supposing that, we have this script, if we are using our project locally, we have this link here, the script tag here, and then the correct source of our JavaScript. So as for me, I will simply come here in my external JavaScript, and I'm going to create my function. So I'll say function. I'll call it my function still. Open and close the bracket. Open and close the curly braces. And I'll say variable x is equal to document get element by ID, because we want to get whatever the user types in, the field name here, the text field name, right? So we will say that get element by ID, and we give the ID of form underscore one, form underscore one. So still we want to get the value, so we say that value. We want to get whatever the user types in. So once we have done that, we also want to show maybe a pop-up, an alert. So we say alert, and in the alert we want to show a message. And we'll say your name is, and here we say plus, put some space, plus whatever the user will type in, okay, because the user will type the name here, plus x, and then here we will say uh, that's that is great, for example. So this is just an example. So what we are saying here is that we want to say, okay, whatever the user types in here, we want to get that value. So that's the purpose of this line of code, and we want to show it in pop-up. And we want to say, okay, whenever the user clicks on the submit button, we want to show the pop-up. So this is the next code that we need to write. So whenever the user clicks on the submit button, we want to show that particular pop-up. So how can we do that? I've shown you the on click, okay, when you click and then some action happens. Now I can show you another event handler, which is the on submit. So here it's about submitting the form. So we will come here inside the form element and say on submit equals, and inside the double quotes we're going to write the name of the function. So our function's name is my function. So I'll copy that, paste here. All right. So that's basically the code that we need to write. So now if I come and write John Doe, you put an email here and click on, on the submit button, you see your name is John Doe. That is great. Yeah. What I can do is that I can add some space, maybe like here and in here. What if we wanted to add maybe the email address that the user types in? What we're going to do we are going to say here the ID will be email, maybe underscore one, probably, and we'll simply copy this. We declare another variable. We'll call that variable y. In here, we say and your email is plus y like this. And we will change this get element by ID, so we need to put the correct ID since we want to get the email that the user types in. So we'll say email underscore one like this. So let's write John Doe, maybe say mail at email.com. When you click on the submit button, there you can see your name is John Doe and your email is mail at email.com. So because my computer is in French, by default, the submit button is going to be in French. I can change the value if you want. So I will say submit, for example. Yes. So that's basically what I wanted to show you. Another example on how you can use your external CSS. So as you can see, external JavaScript, sorry. As you can see, my JavaScript is written in a separate file. Okay. In the previous examples, the JavaScript was written inside the HTML file, but here it's written on a separate file. Simply, it's possible because I have linked it up with my HTML document. And to link it, you need this line of code here, and you need to specify the correct path to your JavaScript file, and make sure that you write correct JavaScript in that JavaScript file. Okay, so another thing that we can talk about is maybe the no script tag. Okay, the HTML no script tag is used to write disabled script in the browser. The whatever text you can write in the no script tag is not going to be displayed on the browser. Okay, for example, if you come here and inside our HTML document and say script, say script here. Inside the script tag or element, if you say no script, no script, okay, you close the tag and say do not display this text. Okay, so now no, the text will not display. So that's basically, as I was saying, the no script tag is used to write disabled script in the browser. So the text written within the no script tag is not displayed on the browser. So here, no text is displayed on the browser. So guys, that's briefly what we can talk about. JavaScript, how to use JavaScript with HTML. So as I was saying, with JavaScript, you can change the style, you can change the content of the HTML element, you can handle events as we've seen here on clicking on the button, which is an event. You can display an alert, you can display some text, you can do so many things. So you can render your web page more interactive thanks to JavaScript. And we have seen two ways to use JavaScript. You can use the internal method, which is to write your JavaScript directly inside your HTML document, and then the external method, which is to write your JavaScript in an external file, but always make sure to link that file, that JavaScript file, inside your with your HTML document by writing the script tag as I did here, and making sure that you specify the correct path to that JavaScript file. So guys, we will call it off here for this video. If you still have questions on how to use JavaScript, feel free to write in the comment section and we can continue the discussion over there. If you like the video, I hope it was informative enough. Feel free to like, to share, to comment, but also to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And let's meet in the next video.